Welcome back everyone to the Hello World Guide. This is the 15th episode of the Beginner C++ series, and in this video we are going to learn object-oriented programming and how are you supposed to create classes and objects. So first of all, I'm going to remove everything that we had in the previous video and let us try to understand the basic concept of classes and objects. So the idea is that in C++ you have got a bunch of variable type like integers. However, there are also a couple of you can also create basically your own variable types that are constituted from other types. So you can create your own types, and the way you create them is by using a class. So a class is basically a template for a variable, and an object is an instance of the class. So that's what the basic concept here is. So in order to do that, what you need to do, just need to say class, and if you press tab, everything will be filled for you. But you don't want to do that, press Ctrl Z. We are going to say class, and then after that you need to set the name of your class. Let us say that name of our class is let's say person. We have got a person here. Okay, and then what you need to do is you need to put a pair of this here, and then you need to put a semicolon after the class, or else it will not work. So currently this is an empty class, and we can actually create a variable of type person. So if I get person me, let's say, so this is a variable of type person, and the person currently is an empty type. It does not contain anything, but we have created our own type. So in order to fix that, we are going to start putting stuff here. So the way that will work is that we will go ahead and let us begin by actually putting some values here. So the idea is that every class that you have got, it can contain other objects. So it can create more objects and more variables, and it can create variables and functions. So it can create functions that will do something in the class, and it can create it can have variables that will be something that will have stored data. But the idea is that you can have three kinds of variables. The two most important ones are, and you don't need to worry about the third one, let's just consider two. So the two most important ones are public and private. In order to create a public variable, you just say public, and we are going to do that, and don't worry about how the public and private work. We will discuss that later. So currently just put public before like when you begin the class, and this is basically the template for our class, and in here we can create a variable. So I'm going to create an int called age. Alright, let's do that. Now the idea is that with that we can actually this class is basically a bunch of collection of different other variables and functions. So in order to access a variable or function from a class, you put the name of the class, then you put dot, and then you can choose the variable. And you can see currently our person only contains one integer called age, and you can see that only that one is available here in the autofill. So if I choose that, I can actually set this age to 56, let's say. And the idea is that currently in our me variable that we have got has got an age of 56, and that variable has changed inside the person. I can create another variable by putting a comma here called u, and you can change that kind of similarly. You can say u dot age is equal to let's say 23, and that's awesome. And you can see that this is completely different variables which have got the same properties. So this is a property of the class. So we have got two persons, one called me and one called you, and the age of me is 56 and the age of you is 23. We are setting that, and you can obviously get them. You can see out, and you can say I am and let's say me dot age. So say me dot age. Alright, and you can say years old, yes, like that. And you can say something like and you are, and you can put u dot age here. And these are, even though they are called age, these are completely different properties of different variables, therefore they do not have any relation. And u dot age, changing u dot age does not affect me dot age. So I'm going to say u dot age, and so I'm going to put a new line after that. Now let's test how well that goes. It should say that I am 56 years old and you are 23. No, there were errors. Alright, why? Okay. It says that we are missing. Alright, so we are missing a semicolon, and you can see that gives an error. So you need to put a semicolon here. Alright, so let's start, and you can see that it says I am 56 years old and you are 23, which is pretty awesome. Now currently our class only contains a a variable, but we can also make our class have like functions. So in order to add a function, you just create a function like you would normally do. You create, let's say, void, which means that this function has no return type, and I'm going to call it introduce, or let's just call it, yeah, introduce. Just call it introduce, and let us put this after that, and this function will have no arguments, and then put this, and you can actually implement the function here. So I'm going to just say cout and say age. So say age, and then we are going to say is, and then we are going to print the age. Now we don't need to inside of the class you can access the variables just like they were normal variables, and this, which is pretty awesome, because now you can see age is this, and you don't need to kind of put everything else after that. So I'm going to put after this, I'm going to put a new line, and you can actually use this function just like you did the variable by putting a dot. So I can say me dot introduce, and then I can say you dot introduce, and obviously you are calling a function, so you need to put a pair of parentheses after that. And now let's start and see how well that goes. You can see it says age is 56 and 23. So yeah, this is pretty much it for this video. In the next video we will learn how private and public work, so make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for that, and I will see you in the next one, and bye.